Hello everybody, welcome into my latest live video, broadcasting you from Studio B, I guess we'll call it. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me okay. I've not done any work here. I've been busy with computers, as if you've been tuning in lately, have seen. And I got a new idea that we're gonna roll with today for a future build. And I'll get more on that here in just a moment. Today is May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 2020, as we're living amongst the shelter-in-place COVID-19 stuff going on. And you know, things are bad. When Mitch Morrison tells me I need a haircut. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that happened. Hello, all my friends in blue. I'm sorry, I've got a little B12 shaking it up. Get my mojo going. And you might want to refresh if things don't look in sync. Refresh your site. I also had mistakenly reused the video notes from the video from Sunday. So I've cleared that out because clearly that was not a parts list for today. What I want to talk to you about was a lot of people frequently in the chat room when I ask, do you have any questions? A lot of people ask either, what's the best ... what's the best CPU, what's the best graphics card, what's the best whatever. And of course, if you've been watching the channel, you've heard me answer that same question over and over and over again, to the point where I made a quick tips video and I still get that question. The other question I get is, what can I build cheaply? And my typical response to that is, if you're looking to build a gaming computer, just get yourself an Xbox or a PlayStation. If you're looking for advice on what you should build, buy an Apple. The point, of course, that PCs allow you the opportunity to make anything, to be uniquely you and to fit whatever your needs and budget are. But ultimately, the question remains, what is the cheapest computer I can build, or any of us? And oftentimes I will say, look, don't build either one. Don't get a gaming console, don't build a computer, don't buy an Apple, go buy an off-lease computer that's a couple of years old and get something better for the same money. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't answer the very specific question of forget Apple, forget consoles, forget your opinion, and tell me what's the cheapest computer I can build. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this following that sort of ignorant logic. We're going to humor this question and demonstrate in real life the concerns I have. And who knows, maybe those concerns will not rear their ugly heads. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And we're going to build the cheapest computer we can build. And I suspect there's going to be build issues. I suspect there's going to be reliability issues. And I suspect it's not that much more money. Once we figure out what's the cheapest, for probably another $200, we could make it decent. However, we're going to build it, and it's going to be used every day. And we're going to find out, hey, is it just as good as a mid-range, researching the best parts for this value, finding this mid-range? Or should we scrape the bottom of the barrel because at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference at all with reliability or support? Why spend money you don't have to spend? Now, one of the first things I'm going to tell you is the cost of shipping a motherboard and a case, all the parts that make up a computer. The shipping price is pretty much the same if you're going to build a $1,000 computer or a $200 computer. If I send you 100 pounds of dog feces, it'll cost the same amount to ship that as 100 pounds of diamonds. So remember that you're going to pay this shipping rate regardless of how much the value of the computer is. The parts all pretty much weigh the same: a motherboard, a case, a power supply. You may be able to catch free shipping on a lot of this stuff, depending on where you order from. And that's money that could be used to build a better machine if it's, if you're paying for shipping. A lot of people also don't realize that sometimes, like I could show you here, we can bring up the web browser and I'll share it with you. Sometimes I've seen where Newegg, for example, will have a DVD reader writer on sale for $17.99, and then it'll say $3.99 shipping. And then there'll be another DVD writer for $19.99 that has free shipping, but it's not on sale. So people, the sheep, they tend to sort of lean towards the sale price. They don't really factor in the price of shipping. And the one that's $2 more is actually a preferred brand, and it's going to cost you less because that one for $17.99 with $4 shipping is $21.99, and the one that's $19.99 with free shipping is still $19.99, and the one for $19.99 is a preferred name brand in this example, and the one that's $17.99 is a reputable brand, but not as well known or not as well respected in the community. So when we're looking at what's the cheapest parts we can buy, factoring in any shipping cost certainly needs to be considered, because I see people ordering things on sale, quote unquote on sale, and then they're paying shipping. Well, the shipping money could have been used to order something nicer that has free shipping. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for parts. And hello all my friends in blue, good to see everybody today. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring up a browser window and I'm going to share it with you. We're going to go on PC Part Picker. And you should be able to follow along, at least in the United States. You should get all the same answers I'm going to get. I'm not going to research what's the best motherboard. I'm not going to research what's the best case or power supply. I'm going to research what's the cheapest, and that's what we're going to build. So today, we're going to assemble those parts. We're going to assemble, let me rephrase, we're going to pick the parts, and then off camera, I will order them. And here's the twist. I'm not going to build it. I'm going to have the parts, you're going to wonder what kind of a friend I am. I'm going to have the parts shipped directly to Steve Bass. You guys remember Steve? Steve joins me on the show from time to time. And Steve is going to build it with me. I'm going to supervise him remotely, and he's going to do it himself. And we're going to find out what happens. Now then, Steve is going to use this computer daily. And anytime Steve has a problem with it, he's going to let me know. And as he comes in and we do follow-up interviews on unrelated things, we'll talk about, how that computer's doing. Maybe, just maybe, he'll say it's the best computer I've ever had. Or maybe, just maybe, he's going to threaten to murder me. So I think it'll be a fun little thing. The build I did, the most recent build, the mini ITX build I did, I think it's important for you guys to understand the difference between building a computer for fun and building a computer for business. There was some concern I saw in the chat room from people that felt that I wasn't taking the build seriously enough. Whether it was trying to figure out things without documentation or whatever. In general, when I build something for fun, like Thready was a fun build, or this computer that I'm building for my friend Ron is a gift. It's a gift. You know, Ron's not paying for those parts, so I will do anything I want to them. Obviously, I want to send my friend something nice. It is his birthday coming up, and I think a lot of people misunderstood. A lot of people thought Ron was a paying customer. A lot of people thought this was a professional, you know, a build. It wasn't. It was just for fun. Now, that doesn't mean really anything other than perhaps the attitude I had when I was building it. At the end of the day, it's still going to be a rock solid machine, and my name is still on it, you know, with regards to the quality of work that I do. However, I've been trying to instill in many of you the difference between working for a business and staying at home doing this stuff for a hobby. And I find it somewhat ironic and hypocritical that some of the hobbyists were accusing me of not doing things the right way. Well, I've been sitting here the whole time telling the hobbyists they're not doing things the right way with regards to accountability and responsibility and liability when you're doing work for other people. And I just thought it was funny because, well, I've been trying to hammer that home, and trying to hammer that point home. And for those of you who've been watching this channel, you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but it's just a lot of people don't get it. And I think it's kind of funny that some of the people who don't get it were basically telling me I should be doing it the corporate way when they're the home users who don't think that the corporate processes that I explain apply to them. So it's sort of like they pick and choose which things they think are important. But that build, by the way, I ended up putting 32 gigs of RAM in it because I don't have any 16 gig RAM. I could put one stick of 16 in it, but man, I'm just gonna bump it up. And I put the two PF12 Noctua fans in it, and that rear fan just narrowly gets by the shroud of the AMD CPU cooler. So I'll do a follow-up video. I've got a little cable management to do. Ran the Time Spy demo with perfect. The Time Spy crashed with the red RAM, the G-Scale RAM that we had. And put XMP on, it's happy. Ran the temperature on it for 20 minutes. Temps look good, machine never got loud. And now I just got to do a little cable management on it. And then I'll review the case. I'll make like a quick tips video reviewing the Leon Lee TU150 versus the TU100. We'll talk to you about things I like and dislike about each case. We'll have a final wrap-up video showing all the final specifications and cable management and how it all looks with the panels both on and off. And then it'll go into the FedEx store, and hopefully Ron will enjoy it for many years to come. I did follow up with Ron, and he said that the original computer that I sent him, again as a gift back in 2013, I keep saying it's a gift, not so you guys go, what a nice guy, but so you guys understand this is not a paying customer. He said that system ran fine for a year and a half, and it originally had a gigabyte motherboard in it, which I didn't go back to the original video and watch, but that makes sense because that's what I use. And what was in there when he sent it back was an ASRock board, and he said that's the third motherboard he had to put in there. I guess after the gigabyte board died, he either RMA'd that or he bought the ASRock and then RMA'd that one. But either way, that was the third motherboard he put in there. I've had several of you reach out to me and ask me if that case, the old one that I'm not using, is available for sale. It is not. That is a future project that you'll see upcoming here in the channel. So, well, I appreciate you guys writing in and offering. Hopefully, won't get any more of those because it's just, I'm getting more messages now than I've ever. When I tell people I'm super busy and I really don't have time, it's as if I said, please email me because I'm bored. Anyway, I do appreciate the offers to purchase the case, but you will see it again in an upcoming build. Trust Me says, your background looks great today, no wrinkles. Yeah, it does looks pretty good. I have some more lighting that came in. I haven't set anything up. I was running a little late getting started today. I was literally just in my car getting here. So I didn't have time to really do anything to improve anything here, but that's all going to happen soon now. Wex wants to know why so many motherboards went bad. Well, you know, Ron and I both talked about that, and you know, I was kind of puzzled because I thought Ron had issues with the system right away, and he said he did not, that it ran fine for about 18 months, and then that's when things started to go wrong, and they don't know. They don't know why. So, and Ron's capable. Ron is the only person I've taken under my wing to train. So Ron does everything the way I want it done. And I have full confidence that he didn't do anything wrong. Is the fan fixed? In this room, there is a ceiling fan that has a light fixture, and I really feel like I need that light in this room. I also need some, like an area rug down here. So today, the ceiling fan arrived, and I just unloaded it from the car just 10 minutes ago. And then the area rug I ordered, and it won't be until Friday. And I want to put the fan in first so that all the stuff dropping from the ceiling doesn't dirty up the carpet. And then we'll see how that affects both the lighting and the audio. Once the ceiling fan's done, the area rug just gets laid down. It's not rocket science, you just unroll it. I have to move all this equipment, obviously, so the area rug can lay down. And then I can put the equipment back on top of it. But it's 5 minutes of work, and I hope it will do a good job of taking care of some of the harshness of the echo in the audio. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up the browser, and we're going to do something called a window capture here on OBS. So we're going to capture the browser window. And then we're going to go to PC Part Picker. Like I said, you guys can follow along with me, and you should be getting the same parts in the USA. You should be seeing what I'm seeing. And I just want people to understand that there are individuals out there that think this is the proper way to find a bargain on a computer. I think this is a huge, regrettable mistake. I also think that for the savings, which may be around $200, in the long run, they'll be spending far more time, and we'll have to replace the computer sooner because of it's just not going to hold up over time like a faster machine. A lot of people only think about today. They don't think about tomorrow. And some of us, we only think about yesterday. We think, oh, well, remember then. And you know, I'm all about let's live today and let's plan for tomorrow. And this is an example. Since we're going to pick these parts today, and I've already got it arranged for Steve Bass to build it, I'm already set up for future content. I've got content today, and now I've got content lined up for the future. I don't have a date yet, but that's not important. So let me, I've got to move up here. I've got a desk coming too. When I get the desk, I won't have to keep moving back and forth. I have to go way up here beside the camera, which gets me out of frame. So you're only going to see my background, and you're, well, it doesn't matter because I'm going to put the window capture on anyway. So let's do that now. So what I want to do is we're going to open up, let's see, just bring up Microsoft Edge. That ought to work. Yeah, that looks good. And I should be able to do a window capture here. Where's my window capture? In here somewhere. And window capture. That should bring up. Hold on a minute. I have to work out this little technical issue here. This is a very strange. Okay, bear with me while I figure this out for a minute. And in the meantime, let me give a few shots out and say thank you to some contributors. Mira Ora contributed $10 and said this should cover part of the haircut. Don Dixon contributed $2 JJ Glissons has contributed $2 and says, I like the new setup. Kevin Arsenault has contributed $20 DJ Aftershock with a $2 contribution and says, I remember when we had to install CPU cache. Well, you didn't have to, it was optional. Kevin Arsenault contributed $20 Again, he says, I can't stay long. I got about 20 minutes more, and then I got to go to sleep. Well, thank you, Kevin, DJ, and JJ Glissons, and Don Dixon, and Mira Ora for your contributions. Elliot Fleming just contributed $5. Hey, Elliot, thank you. Good to see Elliot in here. All right, so let me go back to getting my browser window working here. This is very frustrating because I might just have to use Chrome. It may be that it just doesn't want to work with Edge. And the thing is, I brought up one instance of Edge and it's offering me 5 different sources in OBS of Microsoft Edge. But it looks like Google Chrome is going to work. So I think we can use Google Chrome. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. Let's verify. Hang in there for a minute, guys. All right, I just wanted to clear out the page so it looked a little cleaner. Nothing on there to worry about. I want to keep you focused. Gunnar and Gunners contributed 50 Norwegian krona. He says, finally you go live, so I greets you with the new studio. Right on, thank you. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to bring up, first of all, I guess I can close Edge since that's not capturing properly. Let's bring up the where did it go? This should be it right here. Okay. And let me turn off this and this. Guess it's gonna look a little weird. All right. So I want to go to PC Part Picker.com. And I want you to know this is how some people build a computer. I think it's asinine, but we're going to do it. We're going to find out pros and the cons and the reality of scraping the bottom of the barrel. So we're going to go up here, we're going to select System Builder. I'm assuming everybody can see and hear me still okay because I can't see the chat room. So anyway, we're going to go up to the System Builder and it says choose a CPU. We're going to click on choose a CPU and we're going to sort by price. And you can see we can buy CPUs pretty cheap, but we do want something current. And I'll tell you what, since everybody is so hooked on AMD on the budget side, let's reduce this list by selecting AMD only. Now, I know AMD has some older chips, but I want this to be a current generation AMD chip. So there's a Ryzen 3 1200. It's $90. I think the G has built-in graphics, and it's actually $5 more. The cheapest Ryzen 5 is a 1600. That brings it up $40. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do the Ryzen 3 3200. Remember, we're not building a gaming PC. We're just going to build a regular computer. Now, we don't have to choose a cooler because one is included. I think one included on there. Be included. Integrated graphics, include CPU cooler, yes. Okay, we're good there. We're gonna choose memory. I think 8 gigs of memory would be the bare minimum that we could get away with. So I'm going to, once again, we're just gonna go over here and sort it by price. And we need DDR4. And we'll just, you know, sometimes there could be some memory on sale, so don't discount the speeds, just assuming there'll be more money. And how much RAM? Maybe let's do 16 gigs of RAM. Well, if we want to go cheap, just one 8 gig stick ultimately is going to be as cheap as we're going to be able to get it. So an 8 gig stick sorted by price, 29, well, that's the wrong kind of RAM. That's that's for laptops. I want 288 pin RAM. $30.99 is 2400. 2666 for the Patriot. Yeah. How much difference in price to go to 3000 is $5 more. Well, again, we want to build the cheapest thing, so I think that's the way to go right there. Let's add that. We're going to need a motherboard. I skipped over that. For a motherboard, we need, once again, the cheapest board. So we're going to sort by price. And we've got an ASRock board here for $52.99. That's a socket AM4, and hopefully it's got the video ports that we need on there. Let's take a look. Yep, it's got it's got PS2 keyboard mouse option, 2 USBs, DVI, VGA, HDMI, 4 USB, 3.0s, built-in Ethernet, and basic audio. That's perfect. Add that. Uh-oh, is it not compatible with the CPU? Well, it may need a BIOS update. That's fine, we'll be okay. For storage, I really want to do something M.2. But again, we want to keep it super cheap, but I do want M2. So let's take a look at just solid state. And form factor will be 2280. And then we're going to sort it by price. And it looks like about 256 gig is going to be the cheapest we can find for $32.99. So we're going to add that. Wait a minute, what's this Team MS30? Hold on a minute. Oh, it's only 128. So that's just not really usable in today's world. So 256 looks like that's the cheapest we're going to find. 256 is certain bare minimums that we need on building, this baseline computer. We don't need a video card for a case. Really not that important that we have a nice case. We're just going to sort all cases by price. We've got a Roseville case for $29.99 that is extraordinarily ugly. But this is what people do. We're going to, let's see, what's this other one that's the same price? Does it look any better? Oh, buttons are on the top instead of on the front. I don't like that it's got a USB 2 and a USB. It's kind of stupid. Our motherboard handle that. Tell you what, let's add it, and then let me go back because I can take back out. Let me look back at the motherboard and see what it has for USB ports on here. We do have a USB, wait a minute. There's our USB 3. And there's USB 2. All right, well, in this case, that'll work. So we'll keep going here. And then as a power supply, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna choose the cheapest power supply. So we'll just sort by price. There's a Logisys. Oof, that is not rated well. We scroll down here to RAID Max XT. We have a 300 watt. And I've got to tell you, this EVGA is 400 watts. It's $40. Wonder what's wrong with this Logisys. Why does everybody hate it? Oh, it's ugly. Is it 80 plus? Nope. I do want the power supply to be 80 plus rated. Look at this one here. This looks pretty good. No 80 plus rating on this one though. Let's go back. RAID Max XT. Efficiency up to 78%. Really don't show me much there. We're looking at a price differential. This is $25.99 versus $39.94 for the EVGA. Well, we're going to do this RAID Max XT. It's only got one review. EVGA's got a lot more reviews. Nothing's perfect. We're shopping for price now. Remember, we're just going to build something that meets bare minimums and would work well to surf the web and email and be an alternative to buying one of those crap boxes from the major manufacturers that sell at Best Buy and whatnot. We don't need an optical drive. We don't need the operating system. I will need to send Steve a monitor, but I'm not going to include it in this price. It looks like we can do it for $267. And this assumes, of course, you've got a keyboard, mouse, monitor, and speakers, and an operating system. That is pretty darn cheap. So because of that, I think I'm going to bump up the RAM. What's the cheapest 2 gig? What's the cheapest 16 gig we can get? Let's do that. let's say DDR4. And RAM options. Sort by price. And let's look for modules right here, 2 times 8 gig modules. Still sorted by price. $6249 for Team Elite Plus 2400 versus the other RAM, which was, hold on, let me go back to my parts list here. Let's go back. Is it cheaper to buy 2 of these? What happened? Oh, I see. Not all the way back yet. One of these is $30.99 and 2 of these is $62.99. They're both 2400. All right, I'll tell you what, let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of it. And now we're looking at that chip, that motherboard, that RAM, 256 gigs solid state drive. What's our price? We're under 300. We're just under 300 bucks. Let me now look back into the chat room and see what you guys have been saying. If you've been pulling your hair out going, what are you thinking, man? Are you crazy? Yeah, probably. Hold on a minute. Let me turn off the window capture and bring back myself. And let's read through some of these comments here. Now there is a couple of things that I'm considering right now. One is that one is that Steve is going to be using the computer. Hold on a second. There's my feed. Okay. They're saying they don't think the motherboard has an M.2 slot. Okay, well, we'll check that. Told the Intel Core i3 9100F beats the Ryzen 3200, but doesn't the 9100F not have any built-in graphics? You better check the fire extinguisher prices. Nick says, I would never do this to Steve. If you like him, that case is terrible. Elliot says, I'll give you a 450 watt power supply. What you have to understand is, this isn't me saying I only have $300. This is you guys. This is the question that I quite often get, which is how cheap can I make it? And I'm trying to make a point. But I'm also starting to think of the consequences that if I'm going to send this to Steve and have Steve build it, at the very least, it should be reasonable. And by reasonable, it should be a baseline Ryzen 5. And I think a B450 motherboard. I think with those two minimums, everything else is okay. And I really honestly think a minimum 500 gig SSD. It doesn't have to be NVMe, but for the price difference. But you'll see, just by making a few of those little tweaks, we're gonna get up to $500 pretty quickly. But as you can see here, we can do a build for $300. As that sits right now, assuming that motherboard has an M.2 slot, I think the PC part picker software would have alerted me, but it's not perfect. We can definitely check. Tony says the motherboard does have an M.2. I would think all modern motherboards since the 100 series chipset era should have an M.2 slot on them. Floyd's Ghost says, I put an Athlon together, an Athlon-based computer system together for $367.94. And Vern Mahorny suggests that I include some free Band-Aids. I did talk to Steve about those cheap cases. So several of you are cringing at the lack of performance, and you're going to know that system is going to need to be upgraded within 2 years or it's going to feel like a dog. But you do get what you pay for. And so if you end up building another system and you're spending another $300 and you're getting another 2 years out of it, well, you could have spent $600 right out of the gate and been good for 6 or 7 years, maybe longer. That's the point I'm trying to make. And the argument is, I don't have $600, I have $300. And I'm telling people, save your money, it'll be worth it. And people would rather waste their time than save their money. I think that's going to be a Careyism. It seems like the vast majority of people that I encounter online would rather waste their time than spend their money. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. I would rather save money and save time. And by that, you could accomplish that by simply buying something. It doesn't have to be top of the line, doesn't have to be top shelf, but it shouldn't be scraping the bottom of the barrel. Michael says for $50 more, you can upgrade to a case you actually use, but you're missing the point. For a few dollars more, we can upgrade the storage. For a few dollars more, we can upgrade the CPU. And for a few dollars more, we can upgrade the motherboard. And for a few dollars more, we can update the power supply. And for a few dollars more, we're going to be at $600, $700, probably right around $600, which to me, in my opinion, would be the cheapest computer I would recommend building, but it's not the cheapest computer you can build. Now, you can look at an off-lease Core i5, 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 500 gig mechanical drive with Windows 10 Pro included for $155 on Amazon and a Dell OptiPlex 7010 available all day, every day, that I think will outperform the system we just put together, except storage is obviously going to be slower and you got half as much RAM. But you've got a much better processor. You've got a system that's already been burned in for 3 years, so you know it's a reliable computer, and you don't have any assembly time. It's already good to go. So now you've got to weigh a $300 computer versus a $150 computer. And in this case, I think the $150 computer is a better computer all the way around. Buying an off-lease Dell OptiPlex 7010, like I said, $155 on Amazon right now in the United States with free shipping. Windows 10 Pro retail is $160. So you're basically paying for Windows 10 Pro and getting the entire computer for free. And if you replace the mechanical hard drive with a solid state drive, you know, depending on how big of a drive you want, and you're still potentially under the $300 price differential that we have now, or price total, with a blazing fast computer. Now, I want you to know, I want to build Steve a computer. But I also want Steve to build a computer, and I want Steve to live with both computers and really determine in real life if one is really worth more than the other one. Because we can talk about this all day. I can tell you anecdotal stories of people bringing me crap that needs to be repaired for hours and hours and hours. And most of the time, the way I fix it is I make the customer replace the crap. Some people have seen me do that in my videos. There was a case I advised the customer not to build in. They built in it anyway. They had a problem. They asked me to fix it, and I agreed under one condition, and that is that they had to allow me to change the case. The case was far too complex. It was overly complicated and taking too much of my time unnecessarily with no benefit. And in the future, when they wanted me to work on it again, I never want to see that case again. So I was doing it for myself. Let's get a regular case so that if it ever comes back again, I won't be dealing with this ridiculous nonsense that's eating up my time for no good reason because parts were not easily accessible and the case assembled in an unusual fashion for no benefit. It was basically trying to fit a certain form factor, which was not required, but just aesthetically pleasing to the customer. But at the end of the day, when the customer realized the aesthetics weren't as important as having a working computer, they agreed to allow me to change the case. That system's still working today. But if the system stops working or needs an upgrade, I'll be more than happy to work on it. This system, I absolutely did not want to work on it. I warned the customer not to build in it. Sometimes people have to learn lessons on their, in their own way. And that's what this was. So anyway, well, I'm thinking, if we're going to do something for Steve to use every day, and we want to build the cheapest thing, it's pretty clear to me we can buy a $12 CPU. So perhaps I need to sort of rephrase this a bit and say we'll build the cheapest, reasonably useful computer. So I think let's go Ryzen 5. Almost done with my little. See how long it takes me to drink this little energy shot? Okay, let me get some water. Okay, let's go back to the window capture and let's make a few changes and see what price we're at here. Let's see. Let's change the power supply to the EVGA, to one that I would use. Wait a minute, that's not the right one. Hold on. $39.94. I guess that is the right one. No, that's a $50 power supply. Let's get rid of these power supplies. And let's choose the $40 EVGA, because I would use that. Let's dump this motherboard and let's look for a B450 that's cheap. So we'll sort by price. ASRock's got a cheap one right here. It's really not that much more money. How does it? Take a look. There's our M2 right there. All the same video outputs. That looks very doable. So let's use that one. And then let's change this processor. Let's look for something in a 5 series. Doesn't have to be the 3600. Let's sort by price. Here's a Ryzen 5 3400G, so the G should have the graphics 150. Now, with just those couple of changes, our price has gone up only well, about $150, hasn't it? Let me change out the drive here. Let's do something else. Let's do something a little bigger. That's going to have a cooler. That's going to be fine. That's no problem. Don't need to worry about a graphics card. When it comes to the cases, a lot of you have some very strong opinions on this case. There was a case I saw that looked intriguing to me, but more for a gaming build, really. It had good reviews. See if I can find it. We'll sort it by price. It was this one right here. It's $46. Now I thought, that's not terrible. Everything below this price point, in my opinion, was not attractive. Actually, that's not too bad. I don't like the one USB 2 and one USB 3. They need to give me a pair of one or the other. Since the connector I plug into offers two, so if we're only using one, then there's one you don't get. We're paying less, we're getting less. Of course, there's the fractal design that everybody loves so much. I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the switches and stuff here on the side. They don't really show the side at all, do they? What does that have for USB on it? We're right back to USB 2 and USB 3 again. So that's junk. Again, I don't understand why the manufacturers are doing that to save $1 or whatever it is. It just doesn't add up for me. So as we scroll down and look at some of these options, the Corsair 100R really is tough with cable management. Not that that's really important. And it will give us sort of the traditional 200R look, but it's very narrow. It's a very small case, and it's $55. And the 200R isn't much more than that. What is it, $75? Let me stop here for a second and see your feedback in the chat room. See what you guys want to say about the case. So right now, I've got my attention in the chat room right now. PS1 Freak 26 says the Thermaltake H18 has really good cable management. But do these cases have two USB 3.0s on the front? I need the switches and the USB ports on the top of the case or on the top front of the case. It can be on top of it this way or on top of it this way, not at the bottom and not on the sides. So if you're going to point out a case for me, please make sure the case has two USB 3.0 ports and that the power buttons are on the front or the top, not off to the side or at the bottom. So if your case recommendations meet those requirements, please let me know what they are. What I'm trying to instill here is you're going to see a lot of people in the chat room recommending some very expensive stuff. It's as if the budget no longer matters. And this is where things get a little frustrating because, well, I'm going to sit here and tell you I'm not going to put my name on something that's crap. A lot of people are like, well, I can't afford your fancy schmancy, $600 computer. And I'm saying $600 is cheap, man. That's super cheap. Just because you can do it for $300 doesn't mean it's the same. Doesn't mean it's anywhere near the same in the build process, in the reliability, in the upgradability, in the performance, in the storage capacity, and in the overall quality and look. It is really, truly a situation of you get what you pay for. So what we're looking for, Brad says, what about the buttons being on the front and middle? Well, Brad, did I say the buttons could be in the front middle? I don't want the buttons on the floor. So I'm not quite sure how to respond to questions like that. I said the buttons have to be at the top of the case or at the top front of the case. What I didn't say is where the buttons shouldn't be. And the reason I didn't say where the buttons shouldn't be is I'll be here for the next 3 hours explaining to you where the buttons shouldn't be. So instead, I want the buttons, I require the buttons for numerous reasons to be at the top of the case or at the top front of the case. If the buttons are not in either of those two locations, then please don't send me your case recommendation. And it needs to have 2 USB 3.0 ports. And it needs to be cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. The Corsair 200R is $75, which isn't exactly cheap. However, it depends what you're comparing it to. There are $300 and $400 cases where the 200R looks relatively inexpensive. But as we just saw, there are $30 cases that we could buy 2 of and still have $15 left over compared to a $200R Corsair case. Kyle says, Carey, you're too picky, it's just a case. It's not just a case though, is it? Like if you need 2 USB 3.0s at the front of your case, you can't just change that out on your case. You have to change the whole case, and you may cut yourself on that case. You may find screws strip out very easily. You may find it even damaged brand new in the box because they're typically not packed very well. I've ran into a few really low-end Antec cases that basically fell apart right out of the box, and even had some of the cables for the front port LED and hard drive light were pinched into the side panel, and the wires were basically cut. And I was under a deadline to get those computers built, and I had to repair that, which was brand new. Shouldn't have had to repair it. But the cost of sending the case back was nearly as much as buying another new case. So you run into this sort of issue where when you start scraping the bottom of the barrel, it's almost like a disease that keeps you there. There's this weird mentality that you're getting away with something and that something is better than nothing, but in doing so, it keeps you trapped there. It makes it, the distance for you to climb up out of that barrel from the bottom of the barrel, it's greater because what little you had, you just spent on crap, leaving you back broke again. Only this time now, you've got a headache of a machine that perhaps you're going to curse at and be angry at and want to upgrade. But now, instead of having half of the money you need for the upgrade, you're starting back at $0 again and stuck with a piece of crap, which means at the end of the day, you'll spend more money and you'll spend more time until you get it through your head that it makes sense to sacrifice a little bit, to be patient for a little bit, and to get something decent. Stop scraping the bottom of the barrel because it will trap you there and it will be impossible for you to, you'll live your whole life at the bottom of the barrel. If that is your philosophy, is to just grab the cheapest thing that you can get away with, you will be spending a lot of time keeping things working. The cost of the electricity and running cheap stuff when it's not energy efficient, you'll be paying that way as well. And of course, the replacement of it. When it's going to need to be replaced sooner, it won't age as well or as gracefully. It may not be as reliable. There may not be as good of customer support if you need it. and you're just in this downward spiral. You have to get out of it. You have to break that cycle, and you have to say, okay, you know, a $300 budget on a new build just doesn't make any sense. You're better off buying an off-lease computer for $150 if that's your situation, in my opinion. If you've got $300, save up another $300. If you want your build to last you a good 6, 7, 8 years and be problem-free, $600 should be your bare minimum, and that's assuming you already have a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and speakers. And do know that there are many computer users out there that wouldn't buy a graphics card under $600, let alone a whole system. So this idea that $600 is a lot of money, it isn't for a computer today in 2020. It absolutely is not. Your perspective of value is wrong. So when it's all said and done, I mean, you're the one who's going to live with your consequences, not me. I'm trying to give you some advice that would be putting you into a different path, perhaps, in your decision making regarding the philosophy of spending money that's burning a hole in your pocket because you're anxious to get something, rather than just holding tight for a little while, save up a little bit more, do it right, and you're done with it for a very long time. But I will get emails from people that think 600 is too rich for my blood. I mean, you shouldn't be buying a new computer. You can't afford it. It's harsh, but if you want it bad enough, you will scrimp and save. Maybe you'll find some things around the house you can sell and come up with another $300. You will benefit from that if you do it. If you choose not to and you don't want to take my advice, you're just probably going to live your whole life going from one cheap thing to the next cheap thing, and nothing ever works, and we can't have nice things, you know, that kind of thing. It all starts with one nice thing. Then you start to realize, you know what? The longer I've owned this, the more I realize how much money I'm saving compared to what I was doing. Starting to understand what Carey was talking about now. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Ghost Shadow says, many years ago I spent almost $600 for 4 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, well, 4 megabytes of RAM though was considered a lot those years ago. Looking back at an invoice on one of the computers I built for Steve Bass back in 2013, we bought a refurbished, I think it was a Crucial 512 gig solid state drive for $299.95. So $300 for a 512 gig SSD that was refurbished. The good news is that solid state drive still works today, 7 years later. And we're gonna, next time I have Steve on, Steve Bass, we're gonna talk about that machine, and we're gonna show the invoice and show you the parts. And you'll understand that when I tell you $600 as a bare minimum, it's not expensive. Absolutely is not. And if you think it is, maybe you should look at an off-lease computer to get more bang for less money. Don't be trying to buy the latest and greatest. You know, if you can't afford a new car, it's time to start looking at the used cars. Nothing wrong with that. Just set the proper expectations based on your budget. This idea that you think that something that you can get for $300 is going to be anything but a headache and is going to last any more than 2 years, is at least in usefulness, is delusional. But it's your money. So I'm looking here through the chat for different case recommendations, and there's a lot of stuff flowing through here. with a bunch of cases I've never heard of. Let me move up here so I can scroll through, see what I might have missed. A Rosewill Nautilus, an Antec VSK10. Yeah, that thing is crap. I won't buy any more Antec cases. They're terrible. Corsair Spec 02 was pretty bad too. I didn't like the build quality of it. The NZXT H510 is pretty pricey, as I recall. Let me take another look and see what is the NZXT H510 selling for. Well, that's $69.98. I do like the NZXT cases. They have really nice cable management, and it is a little bit cheaper than the 200R. If we were to use this case, and I'm just kind of, whoops. That's not what I wanted. If we were to use this case, what does it say buy and not add? What happened here? Oh, it's over here. And then we get rid of, oh, I guess we already got rid of it. 200R is what? It's $5 more. That with that and that, then my other concern, my final concern would be the storage. So what would be the cheapest 1 terabyte? Let's do an M2 drive in order to make the installation as painless as possible. And capacity, do I have any options for capacity? Let's do 1. Sorted by price. So a 1 terabyte, no, this can't be right. Sorted. The Samsung 970 EVO, that's 512 gig. If we want to look at a terabyte. It looks so expensive. Something's not right. Let's bump up the size. Sure, we're sorted by lowest price. Yeah, about $110 is about as inexpensive as it's gonna get. And is that even NVMe or is that SATA? Yeah, it's SATA. And here's the point I'm trying to make. You can basically get NVMe 4 times faster for just a couple of dollars more, like the Crucial P1 or the Western Digital Blue or the Intel 660p, which you've seen me use a lot. And the price have gone up on these. So I think the A data is also SATA. We want to look, and Western Digital Blue is SATA. This is the only thing I see NVMe, which is the M.2, just the M, not the B plus M. The B plus M is SATA, and then the M alone is PCI Express, so, or NVMe. So that would be the one I would pick. For Steve, I know it's a good drive. We're at 511.38. So we've nearly doubled the price of the computer by just changing a few components. But in doing so, we've made a computer that will last far, far longer and be useful and reliable and quiet and energy efficient and upgradable. I should say more upgradable. So with a $500 budget, I was wrong. I said $600. It looks like we can do it for just over $500. But I was buying those Intel 660p 1 terabyte drives for under $100. During this whole COVID issue, some things have gone up in price. The other thing I would not do is I wouldn't source the parts from all the different manufacturers that PC Part Picker is pointing out. I would pick Amazon or Newegg, and I would leave it at that. Or I would split some of the order between Amazon and Newegg, depending on what parts were available. But I wouldn't go to a third or a fourth or a fifth seller, because then gathering your receipts for warranty work can get a little more complicated. And adding everything up to how much did this cost me? I gotta find all the different receipts and then get out a calculator and add all the totals. It's a lot easier to have one customer service. Having two is not terrible, and use a company that's reputable. If there's some company offering a really cheap price, but it's mom and pop computer repair shop.com or something, you're taking a little bit of a risk with regards to, is that a real company? Are they going to ship on time? If there's a problem, are they going to offer good customer support? It might be the best company you ever worked with. Are you willing to take that gamble to save a couple of dollars? Because when you compare the prices of any of those components I'm looking at, you'll see all the prices were pretty close to each other. And is $1 that big of a difference, really? Or $2? Or $5? On one component, you're going to spend $500, and you're going to split that order so that you're not spending $506? It doesn't make sense to me to accept that risk for that little bit of savings. But that's my perspective on that. Just want to walk back up here and notice the chat. Any other fix suggestions other than fresh installs? I don't know what the problem is you're trying to fix, but when you lack the experience of being a computer repair person, or you encounter a situation you've never encountered before, your first duty is to determine if you have a software problem or a hardware problem. And I've got a quick tips video that says you can fix every single computer problem in two fairly simple steps. One is you either back up the hard drive, like make an image of it, or use a spare hard drive. You can buy a solid state drive. 120 gig solid state drives are like $15. I've seen them on sale for $15. And do a clean install of Windows on a spare hard drive, disconnecting, of course, your main drive, and see if the problem is resolved. If it is, you're good to go. Now your question is it going to take me longer to try and find what the software issue is, which obviously you have no clue what it is, or will it take me longer to just put all my applications back on? And in most cases, it's faster, more time efficient, and results in a guaranteed result to simply do a nuke and pave in that situation, because of the lack of experience of the problem you're trying to resolve. However, if after a new install on a fresh hard drive, the problem that you had is still there, now you know you have something wrong with your hardware. Could be a bad power supply, bad motherboard, bad CPU, bad RAM, bad cable, anything inside of the case is a culprit, and then one by one you start to replace each component until the problem goes away. There, you have solved every computer problem possible in those 2 very easy steps. When somebody has a unique problem and we can't see the computer right there in front of us, and yet they want a specific answer, they want a shortcut, they want, of course we all want that. Is there a pill I can take to lose weight and get muscles? Because I really want that. No, I have to go to the gym and exercise and eat right? Yeah. Anybody else? Like, they don't accept the answer that's offered because it's not what they want to hear. And that's unfortunate, because the way that we get to the point of not needing to do that is through these experiences. So that's just my thought on that situation. If it was something that you just said, well, I'm absolutely not going to do a reinstall and I'm not going to follow your advice. Well, you know, we answered your question. You know, sorry, it wasn't what you, it's almost like I'm going to ask you a question, but if you don't give me the answer I want, it's like, sounds like you don't need any help. One woman says, my CPU goes 80% and drops the moment I open Task Manager. It doesn't change anything I just told you. It doesn't change anything I just said. With a fresh, clean install of Windows, you'll be able to tell if you've got a hardware problem or a software problem. If you're absolutely refusing to hear what I'm telling you, keep doing what you're doing. Eventually, I'm sure you'll get it figured out. Maybe in 6 months from now, you'll jump in the chat room and say, I found the culprit. Okay, well, people like me will have answered questions and solved, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of other problems while you've been busy with that one. Ed Dana says, thanks for the Eero Mesh router suggestion. It solved all my Wi-Fi issues so far. Nice, Ed. That's good to know. I'm glad that helped. And I'm glad Steve was able to test it for me, because he was a real victim, if you want to say, of having a home that was built that's not Wi-Fi friendly, and it kind of resigned to just accepting that's the way it was going to be forever. And I'm glad to see that we finally, after all these years, reached a point with the technology that it's time to revisit it, and it's time to finally be able to put some of these Wi-Fi issues to rest. Joseph wants to know the email to make a contribution. Just send it to Carey@car-ey-lyst.com. You can see how I spell my name. It's important you spell it correctly. Carey@car-ey-lyst.com. Thanks for all the support, the contribution. €2 came in just now from Niles Vandesen. He said, are Acer laptops known for bad Wi-Fi? No. No, they are not. There are, however, some models of laptops that may have particular known issues that may have even resulted in class action lawsuits. The DV6, DV7 series from HP. The Wi-Fi cards are typically not made by the laptop manufacturer. They quite often use cards made by Athena, Realtek, Intel. And so the card itself usually, or ever, is never ever made by the laptop manufacturer. But if the laptop's not a good design, doesn't have good airflow, it could cause the card to overheat. But no, I'm not aware of any particular issue like that. Kyle says, Carey, I've got an 8th gen i3. Can I upgrade to a 9th gen i7? Depends on your motherboard, Kyle. Ghost Shadow says, Carey, I have an old hard drive that still works, but it sounds like a radial arm saw as it spins up. I keep it just for the wow factor that it works while making that much noise. Sharon says she's going to bed. It's 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Good night, Sharon. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. What I would do to see motherboard CPU compatibility, if this is a system you've built yourself, is type in the model number of the motherboard in Google, not in Bing. Go to Google and type in, not in DuckDuckGo, go to Google. You don't have to type in the manufacturer, just type in the exact model number. And the first link that shows up should be to the manufacturer's page for that product, and then click on support. And there'll be several tabs, and one of them will say CPU support. Click on that and see what CPUs your motherboard supports. And always make sure that your motherboard has the latest BIOS. It'll often tell you what version of BIOS is required for that CPU in the list to work. Ed says, Carey, my McAfee needs to be updated. Is it worth money, in your opinion, to stay with their service? I don't use McAfee or Symantec products. You don't see them here on this channel. I use the paid version of Malwarebytes, and I combine that with Microsoft's free antivirus built into Windows. And I do that for all of my customers, and I haven't had to clean a virus off a system in at least 2 years. I do have some Malwarebytes licenses. They're $20 for a 1-year subscription. Now that's cheaper than the $30 default price online, but you can find it on sale from time to time for less. I've seen it, I think, for $15 or $20, but with a 3 PC license. So you can install it on 3 computers. But the license starts on the day you install it on computer number 1. So you have a 365-day license where the clock ticks the minute you activate license 1. If 2 months later you activate license 2, which is the same license activated a second time, you have 2 months left. So the clock doesn't change. So now instead of 365 days, now you'll have 305 days. And then on computer 3, no matter how long you wait before you install and activate that 3rd license, they will all 3 expire at the same day and time based on the first activation. So anytime you have a multi-license product on a subscription, that's how that works universally. Rain One Full contributed 2 Canadian dollars. Hey, thank you for that. Looks like I might have missed some contributions. Let's see. David Griswold contributed $5. He goes, here's to help out with anything like a 200R. Mira Ora contributed $10 and said, let's be nice and send Steve a 200R. Justin Habu contributed $5 and says, I just finished my new build. It's a 9600K with an Intel 660p 1TB NVMe drive, 16 gigs of RAM, a Mugen 5, and a Sapphire RX 570 GPU. Nice, Justin. I bet you got a good solid build right there. Steve Warrington contributed $3. Thank you, Steve. Geotronics with 150, what is PHP? Philippine 150 PHP to USD. I always wonder what the conversion rate is. That's about 115 Philippine pesos. That's $2.97. Thank you so much for your support and your contribution. I just have to do the math to figure out what somebody's giving me here. Madi Yoel has contributed $20. Hey, Madi, thank you. Michael Dane says, here's $5 for your hair wash and shampoo for your haircut. Joseph Hawkins with 5 New Zealand dollars says, here's a bit more to help you, Carey. Oh, you guys are very kind. What's wrong with my hair? Come on, I still got some. Give me a break. When the quarantine, when the shelter in place is lifted, I'll get a haircut. Until then, I'm following the law. Oh, I have a button I need to push over here. There it is. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to figure something out with a 2-monitor setup because I keep having to switch screens and then I lose part of what I need to see. Let's get another drink here. You know, when you're buying lights for filming, the price is ridiculous. It's like, oh, you're gonna make film, or you're gonna film. You need this for video work, so the price is more. I mean, the green curtain behind me, there's like $70 for a piece of fabric at the fabric store, which is probably, I don't know, 20 bucks. So what I did was, I went on Amazon and I found these lights made by, I thought they were made by Snap-on Tools. But reading the reviews, people said Snap-on will not honor the warranty. Snap-on says they don't support anything bought from Amazon. And Snap-on says they don't even make the light. They just license their name on it. It's a good looking light, and it's $80. And then I saw Amazon sells the exact same design, except where the Snap-on tool is red and black, the Amazon is black and red. And it's $20, not $80, $20, same amount of lumens. That came in today. So what I thought was, this may be a good alternative to studio light. And if I'm wrong, I'll give it to Subaru Mike. This looks almost identical to the Snap-on light that's $80. And this is, I can buy 4 of these for the price of the one that says Snap-on. And you think, well, you're getting peace of mind, right? Because Snap-on's a major name and quality, but Snap-on, according to the reviews, says they don't make it and they won't warranty it because you didn't purchase it from a Snap-on authorized dealer. And further, the person selling it on Amazon, again, according to the reviews, is simply ignoring them. So why spend 80 bucks when I can spend 20? Is it as durable as the Snap-on? I mean, these Snap-on's really making tools for mechanics and people that are gonna beat things around. I'm gentle with my stuff. But let's take a look and plug this in, see how it matches or doesn't match, or even if it works. Oh, that's bright. Did you guys notice a difference? Oh, it's definitely brighter on this side now. Maybe I need to turn that away from me. Ooh, hurts my eyes. But there. Sherry says you need a workbench in here. Well, Sherry, I need to get the ceiling fan fixed, well, replaced. Then I need the area rug put down. And then I need a bench. So everything has to go in a certain order. What color temperature is it? 5,000, same as the Snap-on. They're both 5,000, sorry, 5,000 lumens or 5,000, no, the temperature is 5,000. So again, $80 for the Snap-on light, 20 bucks for the Amazon light. And both of those are cheaper than studio lights. The last studio light I got was $200, and it's a little bit unwieldy, it's so large. I'm sure you can go to Amazon and type in, I don't know, what would you type in on this thing? What do they call it? LED work light? Commercial work light? Instructions. We'll go over there. Plug in, turn on. These pages left intentionally blank. What else is there to say? Do not submerge in bathtub. Let me grab another drink. So the back of the lighting is good. Now I need to fix the front of the lighting. And to give you an idea of what some major studio lights look like, and why you wouldn't confuse them with a shop light, I've got this. I've shown this to you before. I've not used it yet. I'm not sure I have a stand big enough and sturdy enough to hold this. But this is a studio light, which you can, oh, it's heavy, open up. And you'll see it's got this connector here to put it on like a tripod. That should light up some stuff, huh? We could try it out. Yeah, that's gonna fall. Well, I don't know if my tripod here will support the weight of this, but I know one way I can find out. Let's get rid of this light. Hang in there with me, guys. I'm gonna try swapping these lights out. This may not end well for me. I think I need a big, sturdy tripod. I've got a flimsy one here that might do the trick. See, if you hear a big crash, it fell. Well, it seats on there. The legs on this need to be stretched out a little more because they are not. Hold on a minute. I gotta go this way. Let's go that. Maybe go like that. That actually feels pretty sturdy. And then see, we can put this here like that. And then I have to give it some power. So it's got this great big old power brick here. How do we want to do this. Let's put, plug in the adapter back here. Where does it go? That's weird. Okay, well, I guess it's gonna go there. And then okay. So this was the light I was using. As you can tell, it's a lot smaller. This is more for like going onto a digital SLR or something. And if I open this up, let's open it up. And, ooh, that didn't sound good. And let's turn it on. Power. Oh, I gotta put some stuff down. I got too much stuff in my hands. That seems awfully bright. Awfully bright. Hold on. Let's tweak this a little bit. It's not bad. Actually, not bad. Who knew? And then this, of course, the carrying bag that the light comes in case you want to carry lights around with you everywhere you go. Which has our documentation. I think that's all that was in there. Yeah, I put that away. Coming together, piece by piece. Do not use tripods, get C-stands. I don't know what a C-stand is, but I definitely need something sturdier. I mean, this will work, but somebody could easily knock it over. It's the basic newer light stands that came with the smaller lights. Let me take a look at what C-stands are. Maybe that's what I'm using. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what it's on. It's a yeah, those don't look any sturdier. This is effectively a tripod. I could still adjust the legs on it to be a little wider. The wider I make the legs, the more stable it is. That feels actually really solid. Elliot Fleming contributed $5. Wonder Woman contributed $4.99 and said, here's for an energy drink. My laptop is a DV7. What were you saying before about them? Just Google DV7 class action lawsuit. That should answer your question. Ed Dana with a $2 contribution says, thanks, Carey. And Niles Van de Sand with a €2 contribution said, soft boxes give friendlier light. Yeah, but I'm not a lighting guy. In fact, I'm not even a film guy. I'm a YouTube content creator, and I really don't want to set up a big complicated thing with filters and shadow boxes and all this other stuff to make eye-popping visuals. And what I'm trying to do is make videos that are clear, and by clear I mean, you can see what I'm doing, so as to educate people, not to impress them with my video quality skills. I didn't even want to buy one light, and here I've got 3 set up right now. Plus I want to fix that ceiling fan with the light up there, hoping that I can primarily use that and be done with this. We'll see what happens, but this is the best the lighting has ever looked. I just had to take that damn thing out of the package it was in. Team CompuRepo says, nobody thanked me for my $20 paid by PayPal directly. I love the show. It was my way to show gratitude. Anything that's contributed via PayPal, I won't see until tomorrow. So I will always hit reply in a personal email to say thank you. When a contribution is made during the super chat, I can see it. But with PayPal, that all goes to email. And as you can see, I'm not checking my email. And then on top of that, PayPal hides the email address. So I have to actually log into PayPal, look through the summary of transactions, locate your transaction, click on the details of it, where I can then find your email, and then I can hit reply on the PayPal email that says, you received an amount, but that comes from like service@paypal.com. It's not so I have to erase that, fill it with your email address, and then add my comment to it. It's a hassle. And that's why sometimes people have to wait a couple days, because I will sit down and I will let them collect over a couple days and do like, a dozen at a time versus stopping what I'm doing when a random amount shows up. But I do say thank you to everybody who contributes via PayPal. I cannot see it when I'm live. Lauren Harvey has contributed $20. Hey, Lauren, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Make sure Lauren is a moderator in here. There we go. Maybe try ceiling mounted lights. I cannot, and I want to emphasize, I cannot make any changes in this location that would require putting any holes in the walls or in any way, shape, or form affecting the paint on the walls. So I'm not gluing things, I'm not drilling things. This is not my place, and it is not my right. And I also need to be able to pack up at a moment's notice to get out. So I can't sit here for 2 days tearing things down and leaving behind a mess of holes in the walls. So maybe someday when I get a permanent studio, I will certainly put in much better lighting, because I'll do it once and it'll stay that way. Ideally, I will have a place in Michigan, and it will have a basement, and that basement will be my studio. And I will have to put in lighting, because a basement is naturally dark all day and all night. So one lighting solution, one camera location, everything will be fixed. So all I have to do is hit a button and I'm ready to start recording or going live. That's my ultimate goal, but I'm a couple of years away from that. In the meantime, this is an alternative to my home. It's a little more difficult to work there with my wife working from home. And I prefer to work alone. But also, when I'm in the kitchen, if she's at home and I'm doing a 5 or 6 hour broadcast, she cannot use the kitchen, she cannot come in, she cannot use the refrigerator, she can't use that whole half of the house, because she would cross the path of the camera and she wants no part of it. So she kind of gets trapped until I'm done. So here I can do whatever I want as long as I want. And then when I get my place in Michigan, as I plan to, the basement will, won't impact anything. Also, I don't have to worry about extraneous noises here. There's no phone to ring, there's no deliveries to be made, so the interruptions, there's less distraction, the dogs aren't barking. It's really a much better studio environment, but it is temporary, and it is a favor from a friend. And that friend can and will let me know when the time is up, and I will be expected to move out. And the place needs to be in the same shape it was given to me, and my preference is to make it better than it was by changing out some of the switches and ceiling fan and stuff, and to give it back better is my way of saying thank you. Wex wants to know when I'm going to move back to Michigan. I'm hoping probably 2 years, but it could happen sooner, could happen later. Life happens. A lot of it is strictly financial, being able to put it together. It's going to be expensive, and there's a lot of other stuff that has to be done. So at the soonest, I think 2 years, realistically. But I'm back in Michigan once a year. Every year, I always go back to my home, and I'm looking forward this fall to returning for a couple of weeks. Gerald says, Carey, I tried your Netfix tool, and I succeeded in getting one computer to see my user files, but I've not been able to make it a two-way street in spite of everything I've tried. Sometimes you can have a bad cable, sometimes you can have a bad router, sometimes you can have a bad network card driver. I would check all of those things. And I'm assuming you're going from Windows 10 to Windows 10, and I'm assuming that you're browsing the network and that you're not seeing the other computer when you browse. You should be able to see whether you're sharing or not. When you hit the browse the network option, you should be able to see all the computers on the network. If that's not happening, you got something more serious going on than what the Netfix tool can do for you. Michigan weather sucks here. I'm okay with weather that sucks. I don't know why anybody thinks over 100 days in a row, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit is preferable to days of cold and snow. I don't know why anybody would prefer a blistering, oppressive sun in a horrible and highly polluted environment versus the fresh, clean air from all of the life. Look, what lives in a desert? What lives in a place like Michigan, in a normal climate? The amount of life in Michigan is amazing to me, coming from the desert where you mostly have scorpions, rattlesnakes, coyotes, cactuses. It's very bland, it's very plain. It's nothing much to stare at in awe and go, wow, look how beautiful that is. It's not. There's nothing beautiful about it. There's not a lot of trees producing oxygen here. It's overcrowded. People are rude to one another. It's highly, highly polluted. Probably sun cancer and lung cancer just from breathing the air. Mental stress from dealing with the jerks all around you. I think I'll take Michigan and the cold weather. This is how I feel about it. Joseph says his new build is working well. Right on. Gerald says I can see the computers, but I can't access them. So that's usually a permissions issue. Gerald, what you're describing is that you just haven't given permissions properly. If you can see it, You may have a firewall or a piece of internet security software that you've installed, that you've configured, that's locked yourself out. In most cases, when things don't work like that, either you haven't given the proper permissions on the share, or you've added some software that have blocked those permissions. Michael's got a question about a Gigabyte motherboard that I would recommend you take to Gigabyte. Specific product questions are best answered by the manufacturer or in the forums of the manufacturer's page. You should have moved to New Mexico. There's a few places I can't stand. And by can't stand, I mean I find nothing appealing in New Mexico, in Texas, and in Oklahoma. I'm sorry if you live there. I can promise you if I lived there, I'd be gone in days. Like, I'm telling you, it's gonna take me 2 years as soon as I can. It's 2 years to get out to Michigan. But if I lived in Oklahoma, New Mexico, or Texas, I'd find a way to get there in 2 weeks. That's how much I don't like those places. But that's just me. You know, again, I was born and raised in Detroit, so what I consider to be normal is probably different. If you like New Mexico, you would probably like Arizona, Nevada, Utah, southern Utah. They're all very similar in both culture and in the environment. The nature is very similar. Of course, when you go to northern Europe and like Salt Lake City, it's a different story with Utah, but southern Utah, western Colorado, well, western Colorado is pretty, it is pretty. Not so deserty. Have I ever been to New Jersey? Yes, of course I've been to New Jersey. New Jersey's not bad. A lot of people make fun of New Jersey. I don't know why. What's wrong with Oklahoma? I find Oklahoma's weather, when I was driving to Michigan, it was, I want to say it was over 100 degrees. It was humid. Highway patrol were everywhere all the time, and it's always been that way. And it's just a whole lot of nothing. It's like this big empty state. You can drive for miles and miles and miles, and there's just nothing. And I don't mean anything pretty to look at either. It's not like there's anything to see. It's just like a void. So I don't really, the weather mostly in Oklahoma, it's raining, it's humid, and it's hot all at the same time. It's just misery for me. Carey, Michigan is cold. The colder, the better. I don't. Why is that a bad thing? Why is it okay for something to be blazingly hot to burn you to a crisp, but it's not okay for someplace to be cold? I'd rather be cold. At least if I'm cold, I could put more clothes on. At least I could start a fire for free. Do you know how much it costs for an air conditioner? It's about $10,000 for a house air conditioner, and you have to maintain it. And then your monthly bill for running that air conditioner in Arizona is going to be anywhere from $200 to $600 a month, depending on the size of your house. And if your air conditioner breaks, you're screwed. But you go ahead and enjoy the heat. I will take the cold. Detroit is one of the worst cities in America and a lot of crime. That's not true at all. There's a lot of crime in every city. And in fact, the more crowded the city is, like Chicago, places like Manhattan, Boston, Mass, there's a lot of crowded cities, and where there's big crowds, there's high crime. I can take you to some places in South Phoenix that'll make Detroit look like a vacation. Detroit has some bad areas, but downtown Detroit, completely safe. If anything, it's empty. It's coming back a little bit, although this COVID crisis certainly hasn't helped matters. But there's some gentrified areas that are just like any other downtown area. But like any other downtown area, there's a part of downtown you don't want to go to. Have you been to the Dallas, Texas? There's some parts you don't want to be all by yourself in the middle of the night. So I'm just saying, every place has that. But as long as people want to believe that nonsense and they're staying out of Michigan, that makes it better for me. Good. Don't go. Fewer people, fewer problems. Has Detroit recovered from its downfall yet? No, it's in a recovery. Well, it was. But, you know, do you want to be somebody that waits for things to get better and then you're going to jump on board? Or do you want to jump on board and help make things better? Do you want to say, are you going to be one of those people that follows your sports team when they make the playoffs, but you don't pay attention otherwise? I'm not that guy. I would rather be a part of Detroit helping make it better rather than wait till it's better and then jump on board after the fact. But that's just me. And there's some areas of St. Louis I don't want to be, you know, you wouldn't want to be either. Every city's got problems. Every big city's going to have problems. But the media really feeds people information they want you to know, and people are really good at thinking that's 100% accurate and fully complete information. But you're only getting the cliff notes. You're really not getting a full picture of what it is. And in the case of Detroit, I'm okay with that. Because if that means that's going to keep people out, that sounds like it's a better place for me to go. It sounds terrible, but Gabriel Crema has contributed 20 Australian dollars. He says, this is a great informative channel I've been watching for a couple of months, and watching has enabled me to have some input in the building of my computer. Thanks, Carey. Well, thank you, Gabriel. Is Gabriel a moderator? Let's make Gabriel a moderator. There we go. What time is it? Almost 9 o'clock. All right, so looking at those parts, and I'll put a list of the parts in the video notes below this video. When I get home tonight, I'm going to order those parts and have them shipped to Steve Bass. And then Steve and I, we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to bring him back and we're going to talk about some products I've sent him to review. Simple stuff. Nothing like the Eero router with all the complexity of the review. Simple stuff. And then on the visit after that, which we won't schedule too far down the road, we'll do the build live. And I will guide Steve through the building process. I'll have Steve put his camera, you know, where we can see what he's doing. And I will guide him to plugging everything in properly, right up through the first boot and getting Windows 10 installed. I think it's going to be fun. And then Steve's going to live with that computer. And we're going to, when Steve comes back on for regular reviews, we'll bring up how's the computer running. I also want to make Steve one of those, you know, $1,000 long haul builds. If you look on my channel, you'll see the long haul build. I think that'll be perfect for Steve. He doesn't need a discrete graphics card, you know. He needs something fast, he needs something reliable, and he needs something modern. And ideally, it'll be quiet, run nice and cool, and be easy to work on and upgrade. And I think both of these systems may accomplish that. One, we're going to build for, what did it come out to, $500? and the other one will probably be around $800. That would be the typical kind of build I would do. Now, that build will have more memory, more storage, and faster storage, and a full-size motherboard, not a microboard, in a $200 case. And I'll have to talk to Steve if he needs an optical drive. I would probably just give him a USB optical drive and be done with it. But if he wants an internal, we can certainly do that for him. And then he'll use that computer, ideally, for when he comes on via Skype, or when we interview. And we're pulling Steve out of retirement. We got to make sure he's got all the equipment to go live with me with a good camera. You know, we got a good headset, good camera, good microphone. Now we need to get him a good computer, and we need to send him more products to review. Stealthmo says that's what we're building, the long haul office build. It's around $900. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably right. About 900 sounds right. I think on the long haul build, I used an Intel 8700. I would change it to a 9700. But other than that, it'll be the same build. All right, so it's just about 9 o'clock at night. We've been on just over 2 hours. I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I just wanted to quickly throw together a parts list and make a point about scraping the bottom of the barrel. And even then, my intention initially, because I hadn't really thought it through, was to just build whatever it was that was cheapest and just deal with it. The worst case, I don't care. The worst motherboard. Then I realized Steve's got to live with this thing, and Steve's got to be able to use it. So we'll still do the cheapest computer, but it'll be something that will be cheaper than my normal, but also not so cheap as to set his house on fire. The NZXT 510 case was an excellent recommendation. Whoever made that, thank you for that recommendation. Gives us something a little different to deal with than a 200R. I love the 200Rs. I do want Steve to have some variety. So Steve will get a 200R in the long haul build equivalent that I will send him at a future date. But this is what we're going to start with, and I'm going to order those parts tonight. I'm going to, I'm sorry, I was just looking at the chat. I'm going to shout out again everybody who's contributed and say thank you to all the contributions tonight. It's Gabriel Crema, Richard Angeline contributed $2. He says, I love the late night stream on the East Coast. Yeah, it's 3 hours later over there. It's about midnight there. Lauren Harvey, thank you for your support. Elliot Fleming, always good to see Elliot. Niles Van de Sand, Ed Dana, Wonder Woman. Another from Elliot again tonight. Rain One Full, thank you for your support and contributions. Again, another from Niles Van de Sand. David Griswold and Mira Ora. Justin Havu, Steve Warrington, Geotronics, and of course, Madi Yoel and Michael Dane. Joseph Hawkins again, Gunner and Gunner. Another from Elliot Fleming tonight. Kevin Arsenault, thank you so much. DJ Aftershock, another from Kevin Arsenault. JJ Glissons, Don Dixon, and our first contribution tonight was from Mira Ora. Thanks you guys so much for supporting the channel and helping to keep me free of any sponsorships. I am hoping to start a little experimental sponsorship with RoboForm for a trial period to see if it works for me and it works for them. I really like their product. I'm honored to be associated with them. It's not a huge sponsorship. It's, again, not going to be buying me a yacht, but it's going to help. And if it helps them and it helps my viewers, hey, that's a good start. So hopefully we'll have something with them starting up soon, which also includes more specials, more discounts just for you guys on their products, and also more interviews with how to use the products, more detailed step-by-step examples. I also want to bring Acronis back on, although Acronis says they don't do sponsorships, so I'm trying to get them to change their mind. Might not be talking to the right people at Acronis to do that, but we'll bring back Acronis maybe after all this COVID crisis is behind us and things have settled down a bit. Of course, I still want to pursue more of the Life 101 series of videos and my fun little cooking videos. I've adapted some new techniques to even a couple of the videos that I have up now that I'd like to share with you. And I just enjoy cooking. I like creating. Whether I'm building a PC or making a dinner, there's something about making something, you know, taking ingredients and making something with it is very satisfying for me, especially when the end result is good. So I want to share all that with you. I have numerous other YouTube channels, so be sure and if you're interested, subscribe to those. If you like this channel and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. You'll be alerted anytime new videos are posted. And there's no rhyme or reason to when I post right now. It's just whenever time permits. I hope to be able to be on a schedule in the future once things settle down. I just don't know yet. It kind of depends on the YouTube money. If YouTube's not paying me like a job, I don't want to treat it like one. In the meantime, for everybody that's in blue in the chat, thanks you guys for keeping it civil in the chat room. Thanks to everybody watching and tuning in. And those of you in the chat that are not yet blue, my goal is to turn everybody in chat blue. To be blue just means you're a supportive individual, that you're nice. You're not a jerk. That's really all it requires. People that submit financial contributions are obviously supportive individuals. And of course, people that are regulars in the chat room, that are friendly, that they don't insult people or criticize others, but show support and kindness. Those people I recognize over time and turn them blue and identify them as the kind of individual we want, setting the example for this community. There's no reason for people to behave any other way. It's not beneficial to behave in any way but be supportive. And I don't know why people are so stubborn about being jerks, but I think in time, most of them will figure out being nice is a lot less effort. Takes practice, I guess, when you're used to being a certain way, but the payoff is so much better, so much more rewarding. And so at least here, at this little spot on the internet, we have a place where we can avoid harassment and belittling, because all those people in blue are going to put a quick stop to it. So my thanks to all of you, especially those of you who are going to be blue soon in the future. My friend Ron there in the chat, hey brother, good to see you. Yeah, it's gonna be Ron's birthday coming up here. Tell Ron happy birthday. A little early, but you know, I just want to remind him of how old he is. And I hope to have Ron's build done. I just have to do the cable management on it. Windows is activated, all the drivers are put on. It is got the fans on the case. So basically cable management and snap the panels back on, and it can go out to FedEx and he can enjoy it. I try to be back every day live if I could, Monday through Friday. Unfortunately, with my schedule being what it is, plus the work I've got to do here, I just can't do everything at once. I can't be working on these machines and shipping them to FedEx and changing out light fixtures and ceiling fans and make content all at the same time. So I appreciate your patience while we go through these changes. And rest assured, it is a high priority to get everything done. One day I'm going to sit in a chair and go, I got nothing to do today. Question is, will I be 75 years old before that happens? Or maybe I'll be dead before that happens. I don't know. But I feel like I got a mountain of work ahead of me, and I'm just trying to balance everything. So I appreciate your patience and understanding the randomness of these videos. And I have another build coming up. It's a micro ATX build, and it's another build where I'm doing it for no particular reason, and that system will be available for sale if anybody's interested once it's all said and done. Watch the video notes for this video later after it posts for the parts list of what we're sending Steve Bass for the cheapest computer that I can build. I was thinking I should title it the toilet paper build. And then instead of saying it's $1,000 build, say this is like 12 cases of toilet paper build, meaning that would cost you $1,000 right now. I'm not gonna do it. It's just a stupid idea. All right, thanks you guys so much for joining me tonight. Thanks for all the contributions. Again, if you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified anytime new videos are posted or anytime I go live, you've got to click the little bell icon. After you subscribe, the little bell icon shows up next to the subscribe button. If you enjoy the video, you can let me know by hitting the thumbs up button below the video. And I guess that's about it for tonight. I'll see you all again, hopefully tomorrow, but if not, as soon as time permits. Until then, bye for now.